Good morning, everyone. Glad you're here. Beautiful Lord's Day, last Sunday of the month. Glad you're here for our Bible study this morning. We continue this morning. We'll conclude about our giving. We've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks, and we'll conclude on that this morning. We'll have a word of prayer to get started. Wayne, would you lead some prayer, please? Amen. Everything that we have is given to us by God. And the sooner we realize that, the better we'll appreciate what God has done for us. And it maybe help us when it comes to properly using such. You don't want to borrow something from somebody and then tear it up. Sometimes it happens. You can't help it. But yet you want to, what God has given to us, we want to use it in a proper way. In Deuteronomy 8, 17 and 18, Moses here speaking to Israel, God speaking to Israel. Then you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth. And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you power to get wealth, and that He may establish His covenant, which He swore to your fathers, as it is this day. So here it is that God is telling Israel, you're going to this promised land. You got many blessings for going in there. Remember where it came from. Remember that it's God who did this for you, who established His covenant with you. And don't forget about that. And I think that same principle applies today. Remember where we got it from, where we get it from. Our, not just necessarily wealth, but blessings, where they come from. And know that God did this. He continues to do it. And we need to be knowledgeable of that. It'll keep us focused on what is right and where it comes from. If we know that, we'll know how to handle what God's given to us. In Matthew 25, the 1-talent man, he was given a talent to handle, and yet he didn't use it in the right way. 25:24, Matthew. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. So here's this man. He knew what the Lord expected of him, but yet he didn't do it. And it cost him his talent. Gave it to the other man, man who had it, had given the 5 to. And the same thing will be true of us. We know what the Lord expects of us. So why wouldn't we want to use the blessings He's given to us in the proper manner? If we don't, and we stand before God, give an account of that, and we'll say, well, Lord, I didn't know. No, you do know. We do know, because He has told us how we are to use these things. So the Lord wants us to use whatever He's blessed us with, whether it be money, automobiles, our homes, or our time, and on we could go. All these things will be used for the glory of God. He has given to us, on loan to us, and we need to use them appropriately. And we know that God has given us the instructions. Now, when it comes to blessings from God, it depends on 2 things. How much we give and the spirit in which we give it. 2 Corinthians 9:7. So let each one, as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. So we want blessings. How much does God give? He gives us more than we ever could give back. But how much do we give back? We say we want the blessings of God. Well, it's a test, I guess. That's how much we give, showing our trust in Him. We could give little, we could give a lot, but yet if we complain about it in a grudgingly way or feel like my arm's being twisted, then I'm not giving in the right way. The Lord loves a cheerful giver. We should be happy, excited for what we can do, what we can give, and how that money can be used to spread the kingdom, how it can be used to help others, and in many other ways. So how much we give and the spirit that we give, again, a lot of blessings depend on that. Now, God's instructions on giving, He has given us instructions, as in all things, instructions. And any time that we want an answer on any question, we generally ask who, what, when, where, and how. Ask those questions. And if you find an answer to those, then you very well may have the answer that you're looking for, maybe or maybe not. But in the Old Testament, God gave instructions on giving as to how much. And it was around 30 to 33%. 10% of it was their money, literal money. Then you had another 10% of animals, another 10% of the grain, and it all came down to 30 to 33%, something like that. So the first thing we're going to ask, which is the easiest, when? When are we to give this? When are we to give as we have prospered in the week? And of course, 1 Corinthians 16, 1 and 2 gives us that answer. We have the example of the early church, how they gave. Now, concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given orders to churches of Galatia, so you must do also. On the first day of the week, let each one of you lay something aside, store it up as he may prosper, that there be no collections when I come. Now, Paul had already given examples of what to do to the churches of Galatia, and now he's given instructions to the church at Corinth to do, and it's the same. He didn't give one church instructions and a different church, another church different instructions. It was all the same instruction. He told us it's going to be on the first day of the week that we are to do this, and we know that each week has a first day. And if we have prospered during that week, well, then that's when we are to give. If we prosper, if it's a month thing that we prospered in, we give on the first Sunday of the month, or how it works out for us as far as our payroll goes. But notice here, collection, it's not collection of the saints, it's collection for the saints. Sometimes we say collection of the saints. No, these saints were giving. They were giving to help other Christians who had a need. So they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were going to do this on. Paul didn't want to arrive there in Corinth, and all of a sudden, well, we need to get this together, and we need to go with this person and that person. He says, when the time comes, when I arrive, I expect this collection to already be taking place. So we can take this money and we can quickly put it to good use. And that's what he was expecting Corinth to do. So just like in Galatia, that's what they were to do. So he didn't want them to wait till he got there. He sent them instruction. You start this process each week, each first day of the week, that the money be used for the saints here. So we know when. Pretty easy. Pretty easy one that question to answer. Who is to do this? It's the next one. Again, first day of the week, 1 Corinthians 16:2. Let each one of you, so he is talking to Christians. Each one, Christians, each one would include even our children. Our children need to learn about giving. We teach them about praying, and we teach them about singing, or maybe reading Scripture. Why not teach them about giving as well? I mean, when they're little bitty, we teach them. Before COVID hit, we passed the plate around. Everybody put the money in the plate. And sometimes the parents would give the children money, even though it may be a little kid. and the child will put the money in. Sometimes it's change. And the children generally love to give. And that's just right up their alley to give. And I had that change, and I saw one child, it's 2 or 3 year old or something, just learned to count a little bit. The child had the change up and was dropping it in, one at a time. Boink, saying 1, 2, 3, boink, it's hitting into the plate. And of course, I don't know if it's the mom or dad, they thought, well, this needs to be sped up some. So they grabbed the child's hand and started shaking, trying to get it out. But let the child enjoy the giving and teach what it's about. And even teach when our kids get those jobs, part-time jobs, full-time jobs, whatever it is, they need to know God has prospered them, and they need to lay aside as well. And those things need to be taught to our children.
I was passing out the baskets one time at church. They passed it down the row, a bunch of little boys about 12, 14 years old. And each one of them take it, he would thump the bottom of the basket and make the coins jump, and then hand it to the next one. Their mamas were sitting back behind them, and all they were hearing was the coins jump. And they thought their kids were putting their collection in the basket. So those boys went home with a pocket full of money.
Pocket full of money.
They should have given it.
They didn't give, yeah. There's some churches, some places, when they pass the collection around, it's in a box with a lock on it. And they got a little slit in the top for the money to be put in. Because some folks, believe it or not, they'll take it out. No, that wouldn't happen. It happens. It was a mission work down, I think it was in Mobile, that they had that. And they invite people off the street to come in who knew nothing about church. And here comes the basket. And these individuals thought, well, they get me some money out. They just took it out. That not knowing anything about they're supposed to be giving, they thought, well, if they don't want it, I'll take it. They were taking the money out. So sometimes you got to go and put a lock on it in order to make sure it gets to the right place. Well, what about the non-giver? The non-member. Should the non-member give when they come to worship? Well, do we prevent them from praying when we pray? Do we prevent them from singing when we sing? Do we prevent them from taking the Lord's Supper? And that's up to them now. Well, they won't take it or not. They examine themselves. Well, why would we prevent them from giving? That's their choice. Well, they are prospered as well. God has blessed them. Marshall Keeble, you remember him, the old preacher, the black man, great preacher he was asked about that. He said, what if an individual with a bad reputation wants to make a contribution to the church? Do you think we should take that? And he thought about it for a moment. He said something like, the church can use the devil's money just as easy as it can the Lord's money. He said, yeah, use it. Put it to good work. He's not going to do it. Get it and put it to good work. And that was his view of it, how it's to be used. I saw a little thing it's on Facebook. You can believe everything you see on there. But it had this elderly lady. She had an atheist neighbor or something like that. Well, the atheist neighbor brought her a bunch of groceries and put on her front door step and knocked on the door there and told her, here's the groceries that are there. And he said to her, what if I told you these groceries were from the devil? Would you take them? And she said, well, it just goes to show that when God tells the devil to do something, he does it. So she came back that way, and she took the groceries. But who is to do this? Again, we all are. It is our duty as Christians, responsibility. God has blessed us. He wants us to give it back. So that's to who? Who is to give? Christians, really anybody. God has prospered us all. How are we to give is next. Again, 2 Corinthians 9:7, again, not grudgingly or of necessity. That's how it's to be done. Nobody is to force us to give. We're to do so with a cheerful heart. Whether one gives a little bit or one gives a lot, is to be done in the right way. It could be done in the wrong way. One could be in a very grudgingly way, giving a little bit. Again, it's to be done in the right manner, and that's how it is to be given, with our heart in the right place, knowing it's going to be used properly. In Mark 12, we find where a lady, a widow, was pointed out by Jesus to the apostles, the disciples, as the amount that she was putting in. Mark 12:41. Now Jesus sat opposite the treasury and saw how the people put money into the treasury, and many who were rich put in much. Then one poor widow came and threw in 2 mites, which makes 2 quadrans. So he called his disciples to himself and said to them, surely I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury. For they all put in out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty put in all she had, her whole livelihood. Now, how could it be that the disciples may have been thinking, how could 2 mites be more than what all these other individuals were putting in? It's how she was giving. She gave it all. She had 2 mites, which is not much, but that's all she had. And she put it in. She was totally dependent on God to take care of her. And you have the others here who put in out of the abundance. They never missed it. Never would miss it. But they do so out of the abundance of things here. And Christ called that to their attention. So it cost this lady something. It cost her, I don't know what, but it cost her 2 mites. Maybe she didn't eat for a day. I don't know what it cost her, but it cost her. She had to sacrifice in order for this to happen. She put in those 2 mites. I remember several years ago when we were here in 90 to 92 working with the youth, there was a lady, she was a widow, member here at Vernon, shut in, and over there visiting with her, just happened to be there, and she had her little sale paper, and she was going through what she wanted to get that week to eat. She was writing it down. A family member would come by and get it and go purchase it for her. And I was over there. She was writing it all down. And she wrote it down, and she began to add it up. And it was a little more than what she was expecting, a little bit more. Well, she wanted a slice of ham. You get these ham slices? Well, she marked it off. She said, I'm not going to get that slice of ham because I'll have to cut back on what I give the church on Sunday. She took that piece of ham off so it wouldn't affect the amount that she would give on Sunday. Now, would we have done that? Well, I just cut the church back. I want a piece of ham, but not her. But she got her ham. She got more than a piece after all said and done. She got plenty of ham to eat on for a while. But that was her, sort of like the woman here, the widow woman, the 2 mites. She's willing to give up something in order to not make sure she didn't take away from what she gave to the church for the work. And good for her. She did this. So that's how we are to give. Not grudgingly. Not no way. The next question quite a bit is asked, how much? Again, 1 Corinthians 16:2 says, as we have prospered. Well, the Lord doesn't give us an amount in the New Testament as he did in the Old. It's going to be our decision as to how much we give. And we'll give an account of that in one day as to how much we give. It'll be between us and God. We'll stand before God and give an account of it. So how much? Well, again, no set amount is given. But there's some places where you might attend church where they would tell you how much. There was was in South Alabama, there was a couple there that went to a denomination church, and we had studies with them, and they left and baptized, and members where we were at. And the first week went by, the first Sunday they were there, or two, they come up and asked me, said, well, when are we going to meet with the finance committee? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, we said when we first went there, we had to meet with the finance committee and show them our W-2s from the previous year, and the finance committee determined how much we were to give. They thought it was that way everywhere. So some places, they determine how much you are to give. And if you don't give, they'll send you a bill. Send you a bill for it. You need to catch up in your giving. Well, that's not what the Lord is speaking of here. And that might be in a little grudgingly way. It could be. But anyway, here, as we have prospered, no amount is said about to say how much we are to give. David, King David, he wouldn't take anything wouldn't give anything to the Lord unless it cost him. He wanted to make sure it cost him. In 2 Samuel 24:24, David's going to go out here and buy a piece of ground and the oxen. He's going to build an altar. He's going to sacrifice to the Lord, worship God on it. Well, the man who was buying it from said, oh, you can have it. You can have the land. You can have the oxen. But David said, no, it's got to cost me something. But 2 Samuel 24:24, then the king said to Araunah, no, but I will surely buy it from you for a price. Nor will I offer burnt offerings to the Lord my God, that which cost me nothing. So David brought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. If it didn't cost him, he wasn't going to give it. It's almost like we come to church today and we're walking across in the parking lot, and here comes a $20 bill just, flopping around. We pick it up, so okay, I'll give that today. Well, it didn't cost you anything. David wouldn't have given that. He would have given out of his own pocket. Maybe given a 20 as well, I don't know. But David said, if it didn't cost me, I'm not going to give it. Sometimes we say when it comes to the amount, boy, if I was only richer. I'm waiting for my ship to come in. Boy, if it comes in, and boy, I just think of the great things I can do. And I've heard some members say, I can't wait till, if I get the lottery, well, if I hit the lottery, boy, that contribution is going up. Well, it may be that God is saying, I'm going to see how much you do with a little bit before I give you a lot. How you handle a little bit will determine what you will do with a lot. If you don't use a little well in a very godly way, then why would I want to give you more to use in a more ungodly way? Luke 16:10 and 12, he brings this out. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. And he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? If you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? So that's what he's saying. How you handle a little may determine how you handle a lot. So let's don't say that, boy, when my boat comes in, do right now. Use it right now to the work of God. Then we ask the question, why? Why should we give? Well, we're commanded, number one, we know that. 1 Timothy 6:18, let them do good, that they may be rich in good works, ready to give, willing to share. So there we are to share. That's why we are to give. Because that's what we're doing. We are sharing. When we give, we're sharing with others. Galatians 6:6, let him who is taught the word share in all good things with him who teaches. Romans 12:13, distributing to the needs of the saints, given to hospitality. We are here to support the gospel, trying to do what we can to get it out. Who else is going to do it if it's not the church that does it? Do we want the government to come in and do it? Do we want the government to do our putting it out there and try to teach others the truth? Well, that won't work. But yet, that's why we do it, to help others and to put the gospel out. And then we have these last things here, excuses for not giving. Well, the church does not spend the money wisely. Sometimes folks will do that and they won't give. What if your employer said, I'm going to cut your pay because you're not spending your money wisely? The one you work for, you're not spending your money wisely. We're going to take a cut. You're going to take a cut. How would we like that? At the church, some say that. Again, it's just an excuse, I believe, but there it is. I don't give because brother so-and-so doesn't give as he should. Yeah, how do you know how much brother so-and-so gives? Is that what y'all talk about somewhere, sometime about it? If brother so-and-so jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? If brother so-and-so stopped attending, would you stop attending? If he started cursing, would you start cursing? If he stopped providing for his family, would you stop providing for yours? All of a sudden, brother so-and-so determines how much we give. That shouldn't be the way. And then the church wouldn't miss my little bit. Well, that widow, her little bit was used in the right way. And Christ showed, look at her little bit here. Made a difference. One person said, givers are like whales. You have a dry well, you can't get anything out of it. You have a well sometimes full of water, but it has to be pumped. And when you pump it, the pump squeaks. And then you have the overflowing well, the one who gives liberally. He puts givers in one of those three categories. Dry well, a full well, but overflowing well. And hopefully we are the givers that we love to give. And we understand everything we have is from God. And may to give according to how we prospered. And be thankful for every penny that we have. Anything on giving? Our next study, I think in the book, is on miracles. We're going to take a couple of weeks on it, talking about miracles, and cover that topic for our next study together. Okay, thank you for your attention, and we'll conclude right here.